John was telling you that welcome to the channel. We love you here in Latin America so much. John was telling that interviewers they always ask you about one role in specific, but in this channel we want to concentrate on your whole career. So what can you tell us about Rob's Bond, one of the first roles that you made?
Well, I started out singing as a child and playing music on the piano and writing poetry and songs and things like that. So everything for me started with music. We had a stereo in the house. My mom and my dad were both big music lovers. So I just became captivated with singers and the voice and music. And so as I got into musical theater, I also branched out and got into more acting opportunities and was always captivated by the voice, character voices in particular. So over the years, I think I just got better at developing my voice and seeing what kind of a range I could have with it. So I joined a show band right out of high school and toured the world and, with a touring show band that we did 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s music. And from there, I started singing with other groups, singing on albums, making connections in the Dallas-Fort Worth region. And from there, I got referred in to audition for various projects, toy voices for Jemmy Toys, Helen the Hen for Chuck E. Cheese. And from there, I got the audition for Dragon Ball Z in, I think, around November of 1998. And I auditioned for all the female characters. But while I was there, the director at the time wanted me to give him an example of a young boy voice. And so I gave him a sample of a kid voice. And they said that, can you make it raspy? And so I made it raspy. And about a week later, I got the call that I was going to be voicing Gohan in Dragon Ball Z. And that's where it all began for me.
Before I let my friend do the next question. So you wrote the hairstyle in the 80s, singing. Wow, I now imagining. And two, it is beautiful because I know you know that also in Latin America, Gohan also got actors doing the role. So it's great because great women were doing great job doing Gohan. I know that you know that. Yes.
I just met her last weekend. I just met her in Harlingen, Texas. Laura Torres and Mario Castaneda and Rene Garcia were all there at a Collectors Collision convention. Yeah, I just met her for the first time on Saturday.
I read your face.
We had so much fun, and I love Spanish. I grew up on the border of Mexico when I was a young child, so I was practicing my Spanish.
I'm putting this face because you may know, and I'm so happy. And John got the love to interview Mario. Hopefully someday, Laura. I love how the dubbing community in Latin America is so respected now, and they are now huge stars. But I know that there are wars for many decades. So to get that recognition, and Mario is
we had a great time.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I have pictures. I've posted a few pictures on my Instagram, and we did 2 panels together. We went out to dinner on Saturday night, and we have a lot in common. She's a bubbly, fun-loving, energetic person, just like I am, and we had such a great time. I've been wanting to meet her for years. It was a lot of fun.
I don't need to say. Yo no creo que necesito traducir.
No. Hay algo importante y es que al conocer todo este tema de la evolución del doblaje sí debo enfatizar sobre otro rol que la verdad me impresiona mucho y es el tema de Connection Day. Es una producción pequeña pero es algo memorable que hay que destacar de sus trabajos.
I love this type of questions because John wanna showcase and I wanna ask something to John. Y John, puedo mencionar el otro rol porque ella aparece en otra película.
Claro.
No la grande, la pequeña. Because John wanna showcase also the work that you have done as an actress, and John is mentioning a short film called Collection Day. But also, I had another question for you in your acting background, but let's start about this short film, please.
Okay. So speak about what in particular the
Collection Day, a short film. But I want to ask you something because you got also a great resume as an actress and acting roles, I mean. And oh, one of my favorite directors, I'm a movie lover, and one of the first directors that I started watching back in high school, so I get in love with cinema, is Patrice Lecon, and you worked in a movie with Patrice Lecon. So I need to ask you how it was because you also had appeared in short films, in big movies, also in independent movies, but kid acting. So what is your experience in those roles, in the sets? Tell me more.
Well, whatever I did that was actually considered acting was mostly extra roles. So I was in the background, working kind of, sort of behind the scenes. There were many scenes that we would do over and over. And, we might be walking down the street or we, are in the background having a meal or chatting with a neighbor or a friend. So I never really was cast in any speaking roles as far as for movies or anything like that, but I did work as an extra on set. Most of my career with acting involves music. So musical theater is really, I'm much more trained and more used to live performance and singing and dancing and I got a lot of experience doing that in middle school show choir, high school. I studied dramatic arts at University of North Texas right out of high school, and then immediately landed a couple of auditions to sing in live show bands. And from there, I ended up in a show band called Vince Vance and the Valiants. The band originated in 1971 in New Orleans. And so my second home became like a tour bus with 13, 14, 15 other people, a road crew, all of our costumes, and we would travel all over, mostly the Gulf Coast and the south part of the United States, but we did make it up to the Northeast and the Midwest from time to time. And occasionally we'd get over to California and some of the states out that way, Nevada. But most of our shows were all around New Orleans because that's where the band originated. So I joined at the band's 20th reunion in 1991. And it was a whirlwind of excitement. And, being so young, it was a really great time for me to accept that kind of an opportunity and leave college to follow my dreams. And as a result, that's how I ended up meeting other people in the industry, other show bands. I started getting called in to sing on albums and backgrounds. And I started working with a producer of a really popular show band called Brave Combo. It's a polka world music band out of Denton, Texas. And we ended up doing an entire album that has yet to be released in 1997, 8, and 1999. So I'll be getting that up online as soon as I figure out how, because the fans want to hear it. It's all original. It's really beautiful music. And so most, like I said, most of my acting was surrounded by musicals, music and musical theater. I did some productions here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for Casa Mañana Theater. And then I developed my skills and started recruiting, teaching, and developing more intricate choreography for the show band I was in. And then when I left the band about 15 years in, I came back to train other starlets to go on the road. And if one of them didn't work out, I would go back out on the road again. So I was just I was bit by the bug, and I was addicted to the live performance lifestyle. And I just kind of got used to living out of a suitcase. And what's interesting is now I'm traveling just as much as I was then, but it's for pop culture Comic-Cons and comic store appearances and meet and greets and different things like that. So I'm traveling again, but for different. It's still the voice, but it's for, voice acting as opposed to music. I do still get calls to sit in and sing with bands from time to time, and some freelance work. But most of my acting experience is usually surrounding music. Oye, oye, mi canto. Oye, mi canto. Hey. Yeah.
Música maestro, as we say here in Colombia. And it's beautiful, John, déjame decir algo antes de. And it's beautiful because you worked on New Orleans and in Colombia. Colombia is really a great musical country. New Orleans is kind of like Ibagué. Ibagué is the musical city of Colombia, the place where born the bambuco. But I want to ask you because polka is kind of similar to vallenato because you got the accordion.
Yes. The accordion. And that's also a big instrument in polka music as well. And I'm actually Polish. My family heritage is Polish. Yeah, it's crazy.
Any artist that you admire in Colombia in music or in Latin America? I want to ask you because I always love to ask that to musicians. There is a Latino artist that you admire?
Oh, I haven't really thought about that in a while. I've been a little bit out of the music scene right now, but when I get around Latin music, I can't help but want to like. Well, there's Shakira. There's I like Mark Anthony. We performed a lot of Santana's music, and Brave Combo, the band. It's actually a Grammy award-winning polka band. They play a lot of Latin Tejano music as well. You should check them out. They're based right here in Denton, Texas. Brave.com is their website. So I want to travel to Latin America. When I went to high school, I was involved in a program that the Latin American college students would meet with us, high school students, and we would practice Spanish with them and they'd practice English with us. And so my dream was to always find a way to get to Latin America. I've only been to Mexico. It was a cruise ship. We ended up in Cancun and Cozumel, and then I went to Puerto Rico this past August for Super Saiyan Anime Fest. That was really fun. I got to use a lot of Spanish there. And then this last weekend, I was the only English speaking voice actor there. It was crazy. In the RGV, which is what they call the Valley in South Texas. So it was really fun. I love Spanish. Like I said, I grew up in Eagle Pass, right outside of Piedras Negras, which is right on the border of Mexico. So I have a big heart for the Spanish language and for Spanish speaking people. So this is really exciting for me.
Thank you. John, espero que después de que vean tu entrevista la traigan a Latinoamérica. No ha venido a Latinoamérica.
Sí.
Imagínate eso.
A recomendarlo en eventos de anime, que así sea. Ahora, este tema para comentarte que, bueno, muchos desean saber sobre el tema de, sí, vimos la foto de Laura contigo, Mario, René, te la acabo de enviar, Papu. Entonces, esta es de los fans, en el cual es importante sobre la nostalgia, sobre el personaje, lo que ha caracterizado a muchas generaciones.
As you may know, the fans in Latin America get crazy with that picture, of course, with Mario, Laura, René. René was here on the channel also, great person. It's crazy how the voice of one of the most famous villains is in Latin America, Vegeta, is a great person. And the fans, it's not us, ask you this. In Latin America. When you first voiced Kid Goku, did you ever imagine that your interpretation will become the emotional blueprint for how an entire generation understands the character innocence, courage, and her? What a beautiful question. Go ahead.
No, I never imagined it. So another thing that a lot of my fans don't realize, or people in general that watch Dragon Ball Z, is we didn't know what anime was. A lot of us were actors, singers, performers, musicians, and we were referred in. At one point, I think they did have an open casting call. For me, my direct contact was Barry Watson, who was the director at the time, who was recording the voice acting in Vancouver, Canada, before Funimation decided to move its home base to Texas. So when I got the audition, I naturally auditioned for the female roles: Chi-Chi, Bulma, Puar, Chaozu. I know I auditioned for at least 5 characters, and at the end of the audition, I was asked to voice a young boy. And because I had done so many character voices at Jimmy Toys and other types of characters singing and different children's voices and things like that, it was kind of something I just had a natural knack for. So when I tried out for Gohan, I actually didn't know who Gohan was. I didn't know anything about the cartoon. It was to us, we knew it was an animated feature, that it was a cartoon. And later, as we started coming in to record one at a time, we learned more about it. Anime, Japanime, and how all of the visuals were already done in Japan, and that we were dubbing. We were voicing, matching flaps, watching the screen like on a TV screen with headphones in a padded booth, and we would follow direction and go from line to line. A lot of Gohan's lines when I started were a lot of reactions. They were a lot of like, "Ugh, Dad, no!" and a lot of, short lines. And then as the show went on, and we got into the Cell Saga, Gohan became more of a lead character. And at that point, I was asked to lower my voice to be as manly as I could. So the voice was more like, "Don't hurt my daddy." And then it became more like this: "What are you so afraid of, Cell? Isn't this what you wanted?" And so it was kind of more like that. So for me, it was a completely different voice, but it was Gohan at an older age. He's actually only 11, but people call him Teen Gohan. He was kind of more like preteen Gohan. So I would just follow direction, and I knew kind of what my voice was capable of, and I was already used to dubbing and learning the logistics about it. I had to learn how to not worry about what I'm looking like. I don't have to be smiling and performing like I'm on stage. So it was just a new skill that I was able to develop over time. And I was also offered the role of Iskai. I'm the queen and I'm who in the gold. Oh my. And then Baby Trunks, little old women in the village. I don't know. There was a small pool of talent, and we were able to do multiple voices back in the day. And now there's just too many. There's so much competition, and the company was Funimation, then it became Sony, and then Crunchyroll. So now it's Crunchyroll, and there's all kinds of anime and all kinds of talent auditioning all the time for all kinds of other features. Now, the difference with Mexico City and where they record there, they actually, we have LA, we have New York, we have Dallas. They're all thousands of miles away from each other. So we only have a limited amount of work because a lot of the properties are owned by companies in Los Angeles and New York. So we're all scattered all over the United States, whereas the actors that you were talking about, Mario, Renee, and Laura, they do multiple dubbings. Like, they don't just do anime, they do movie voiceovers, dubbing English or other countries, dialogue in Spanish. So they have a lot more opportunities because Mexico City is a really big industry for voice acting. So that's something that I found interesting. It's like, it's not all done in one place. In the United States, it's scattered all over. So you either have to move to LA or move to New York or be somewhere like Atlanta, Georgia, where you can actually, if you want to work regularly, you have to be where the studio is and you have to go in person. Although some still offer some remote possibilities. So I also do some commercials for radio And I taught music for a short time during COVID. I taught beginner piano and singing lessons to children. I had to figure out something to do because the world was shut down. So we couldn't perform. We had to cancel all our gigs. But, you make the best of it. And it's feast or famine sometimes. Sometimes you're doing really well and you're really busy. And sometimes it's like absolutely nothing at all. But I like to stay busy.
And the beautiful thing is that seed that get planted on Mexico spread from all over Latin America. I mean, we got now dubbing in Colombia, in Venezuela. Jhon interviewed with also people from down the south in Argentina. And talents, the voice, for example, the voice of Thanos in Latin America, Dwayne Johnson is a Colombian, but now he's in Mexico, the amazing Tinoco. And second, I want to ask you, Jhon, déjame hacerle esta pregunta como fan. It is crazy because the character that I think that the saddest history in Dragon Ball Z is the Gohan one because, I mean, Goku even was dead or somewhere, and he had to grow with other. It's the relationship with Piccolo, and in Latin America I would say Piccolo, or in Garlic Jr. I mean, suffering when he grows, he gets in the future. I mean, that line is. How do you channel that? Because you went to one of the most kindest characters in anime, that is Son Goku. And later, I mean, I always, Lauren and you and all the dubbers did an amazing job because Gohan is the most, I mean, is the saddest character.
He's beloved, yeah. It's interesting that you mentioned that because right when I got cast as Gohan in 1998, my mother was diagnosed with cancer and had to go through chemo and a bone marrow transplant. And she ended up passing away August of 1999 when I was still in my 20s and she was 51. So when it came time to do that scene with the father-son Kamehameha wave, I had real life experience to draw from, having lost my mother, she was my entire world. I grew up with her and my stepdad mostly, and my father was always out of state. So I channeled a lot of that emotion into the role. It's a very powerful emotional scene when he's, up against the villain Cell. And so I just channeled real life experience and with whatever acting experience I had to really make that role believable. And a lot of the fans have come up and told me, you're the voice of my childhood. And I watched it in English, then I watched it in Spanish, then I watched them both. And I learned English by watching it in Spanish and reading the subtitles. And so there's a strong correlation between the English and the Spanish, and being that we're, connected so close, Mexico's right there, and then Latin America's further south. So it was a really special, unique experience getting to meet Laura in person. And we did a lot of double signatures and double pictures with people that had watched both the Spanish and the English. And I do know that with her in Mexico City, they started with Dragon Ball and then did everything in order, whereas we did Dragon Ball Z first. And then we went back and I was cast as Goku, a couple years later. So that's something that we found out as a cast later on. And one time I was in Europe singing with my show band in summer of 2000. I went into a souvenir shop and there was Dragon Ball Z stuff everywhere in Italy. And that's when I think I realized that this franchise was much larger of a scope than I realized. And then when they did the Burger King special and gave away the little Dragon Ball Z character figurines, that was also in 2000. And then when I was asked to travel to Australia and New Zealand in 2002, I realized that it was, it had made its way to Australia and New Zealand, and that this was just a massive franchise dubbed in who knows how many languages, and that it was just bigger than any of us could all imagine. And then when I was asked back for Daima, after 16 years of no voices in Dragon Ball Z, because my characters all grew up, that was just a huge blessing to hear from Toei in Japan that brought me back to have the original nostalgic Kid Goku voice. So that's Akira Toriyama's last work, and what a legend! His storytelling is just unmatched. It's like one of the most popular animes of all time, and paved the way for so many other animes.
Hay un videojuego en el cual lo utilizaron muchas personas hace tiempo para aprender inglés, que es un tema muy importante y es el tema del gato del sombrero. Pero este videojuego se llama el Boss Present y es cuando cada nivel que completa, el gato se caía. Y si pasaba, pues el gato subía. Entonces la voz era Stephanie para poder darle las felicitaciones por cada nivel, con el cual es su intuitivo. ¿Qué opinas sobre estas dinámicas?
Wow, John really did deep for this question because he's asking you about. We know that you have dubbed a lot of video games, not only Dragon Ball Z video games. John was telling us, and I was remembering that video game, of course, Living Boost Presents, Greenettes and Ham, you were the voice every time that cheer up the people. And a little anecdote, not that video game, but the Arthur Teacher's Troubles was a video game that a lot of Latinos use it for learning English. So the thing that you say is real. We watched in the case of Dragon Ball Z, we watched the job that Laura did, but later we watched the job that you also did, so we can learn English. And what better teacher than Son Gohan or Goku? But yes, tell us about your work in video games and teaching video games, and of course all the amazing. Did you imagine that there will be a lot of Dragon Ball Z video games? I cannot count it. They're huge.
Right. Yeah. The video games are, it's just a bonus. We get to go in and record again, and we can do all the different dialogues in all the different possible scenes with different players. So it's a little bit of a different experience, voicing for video games. To me, I'm just honored, and I really work hard at really doing a good job for the director and making sure that no line escapes hard work, and that it's all a passion and a livelihood for a lot of us. And so, when we do the video games, I put just as much effort into the video game lines as I do with the dialogue in the episodes. So, another exciting thing about coming back for Daima is he gets a new form, Super Saiyan 4 Goku Mini. And that was like so exciting. I didn't know until I got to the studio that day that was happening. So there's no like prep work. We don't watch anything. We just show up for our session and we just dive right in. The director was very open with me because I had been the voice for so many years ago, Kid Goku. He gave me a lot of liberty as far as how I wanted to deliver the lines. So I would usually just give him a line and maybe give him a second one, and then they could move it into place. But I was able to really have a lot more freedom to deliver the lines in the ways that I kind of thought, or I could hear the voice in my head. I did get to hear the Japanese voice before we would record the English lines, which gave me an idea of the timing. The voice also determined if it was, emotional, or was I screaming, or was it a soft, short, breath, or maybe a reaction. So this time coming back last year to do Daima was, the technology has changed. 16 years had passed. So there's no paper scripts. We have a flat screen that can be zoomed in if we need to see it more clearly. There's a flat screen, and then, the microphone, but there's no paper scripts, and everything can be done quicker and with more efficiency now. So it was a really nice experience to come back and get back in the booth and make some magic.
si queremos darte una dedicatoria a lo que has hecho. Entonces, ahí te la dejo, Andrés. Dame un segundo para que le comentes.
I'm happy that John came back with this section. I don't know what is the word in English, the dedicatory, but I will try to read with my sloppy English these words that are dedicated. Today we celebrate your journey, built on discipline, passion, and an admirable dedication to the art of dubbing and vocal performance. Thank you for every note, every nuance, every emotion you share with the world. Your legacy continues to inspire those of us who dream of telling his stories that resonate in the heart. With gratitude and profound admiration, the dedication honored your spine, your talent, and all that you had given to the world of entertainment. That was beautiful.
Wow, thank you so much. It's an honor, and it's changed my life. I mean, all my friends, pretty much almost everybody that are in my life now are people that I've met at conventions, other voice actors, vendors, volunteers, staff, Comic-Con owners, pretty much everybody in my life now, aside from old friends from prior to the work, are associated with Dragon Ball Z, or the convention schedule, the convention scene, where we can sometimes meet and greet together, or they may have 1, 2, 3, 4 or more guests at one event. Like this weekend we'll be in New Orleans, and it's called Cajun Con, and Cajun music is what's popular, and Cajun food is very much New Orleans. Po' boys, etouffee, gumbo, seafood. So at this one that I'll be working at this weekend, we'll be driving. It's about a 9-hour car drive. It's going to be like a reunion of OG voice actors from Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT. I think there's maybe 12 of us that are going to be there. We're going to have the voices of Pan from GT, myself, Bulma, Corin the cat, Bircher, the narrator, the Ginyu, Captain Ginyu. We've also got, I think another part of the Ginyu Force is the 3 that are part of the Ginyu Force will all be there. And I believe Chris Rager and Josh Martin. So the voices of Boo and the voice of Mr. Satan, Hercule, he'll be there. So it's going to be a lot of fun seeing everybody again after, 10, 20. Now it's been 25 years now, 26 years since we all started. And the show itself, from the beginning of the show in the manga in Japan, is next year will be 40 years, 4 decades of Dragon Ball Z. When the show aired originally in Japan, it was 1986 when Dragon Ball aired on TV in Japan when I was a kid. So it's like my childhood. It's crazy to think that. And the manga came out, which is like their comic books, in 1984. Isn't that crazy? So it's a big deal. It's just a beloved anime that, man, I don't know. It's just going to keep going forever, I think. I'm not sure what's coming next. It'd be great if they did some more Daima. They did like maybe some Daima movies. I know the most recent thing I've worked on is the video games. Sparking Zero, Xenoverse 2, Legends, and Kakarot games.
That was beautiful also. I was talking about how the dubbing community in Latin America grow, not only Mexico. The voice of Jiren is the Colombian actor that we mentioned, Tinoco, Juan Carlos Tinoco. No, it's universal. I mean, I got no more words. Yo sabía. Thank you, but John, ¿qué tienes que decir? Porque esto es increíble, hermosísimo.
Ya por último, ¿cómo define su trabajo en una palabra? Y bueno, que invita a la gente a seguir todo el trabajo.
Okay, as John always do, the final question is the hardest one. Try to define your career, your body of work in one word. And also the camera is yours, so you can invite people to follow your social media, send a big hi to Latin America in your voice, on the voice that you want to do. Go ahead.
Oh, one word? Solamente uno palabra?
Solamente una palabra.
Oh.
There is a song called Una Sola Palabra from Paulina Rubio.
Really? I've heard of her. Yeah. And I'm a big Selena fan too. Big Selena fan. Wow. I would say extravaganza, because it has so much music, singing, acting, dancing, choreography, expression, all of that. Like, just extravaganza kind of touches on all of those different things. And another thing that I did that we didn't talk about was back when I first got cast as Gohan, we would record the anime themes in English. They stopped doing that at some point, but I was able to go in and sing the anime theme for Sayonara Bye Bye for Yu Yu Hakusho, as well as one for Case Closed and the opening and closing of Kitty Grade. So I was able to use my voice, my singing voice, at the same studio when we were doing the anime themes. So I didn't know if that's something, it's kind of a trivial thing that I wasn't credited, but those themes can be found on YouTube and obviously on the DVDs before and after the show. So that was really fun. I learned a lot about that process. But if you want to know anything more about me, maybe where I'll be traveling next, I do have a website. It's www.stephanienadolny.com. I have a Instagram, and it's just my name, Stephanie Nadolny. My Facebook is Stephanie Nadolny Voice Actress. And my TikTok is Steph Nadolny, but it's been hacked right now, so I'm not really on there right now. But I do have a TikTok, and it's at Steph Nadolny, and I'm hoping to get my account back as soon as I can get some technical support. But most everything else is on my website, stephanienadolny.com. The calendar, some photos, some videos, some audio recordings, my demo, all of that is on my website. And I do write back to everybody on my Instagram direct messages. So feel free to send me a message if you want a shout out or an autograph through the mail. We also can make that happen.
Primero, darle las gracias a Stephanie por la oportunidad, por el espacio, y la verdad, espero que le haya gustado la entrevista y es un honor siempre.
As Jhon said, a bit gracias, a bit thank you. Jhon said that he hoped that you enjoyed the interview. For me, as you may see on my faces, I was enjoying it and not believing it. So, no, thank you, Steph.
Oh, you're welcome. Before we go, can I do my Spanish commercial for you guys that I remember from 11th grade?
Sí, yes.
¿En mi escuela?
Yes, go ahead.
Are you ready? Cuando usted compra pollo en el Kentucky Fried Chicken y pida la receta original, saborea un pollo fresco y tierno con su sabor exquisito. Así es para toda la familia. I know, now I'm hungry.
No, it's crazy because we live in a small city and KFC came out like plus COVID. But now every time I go to KFC, I will remember your commercial now.
That's funny too. It's then that was from like 1987. I think I would learn that in 87 or 88, but I never forgot it. I always remembered that commercial. And we tried Spanish food. We studied all different kinds of Spanish legends and backgrounds, not just Mexico, but Latin America, Colombia. We learned a lot in my Spanish class, and I have a huge love and passion for the Spanish language and the Spanish-speaking people. Todos los gentes. Yes. Me and Laura did that. We did the heart together at the panel, and for some pictures where she does that and I did this, like her hand in my hand. Yeah, it was something. You got to check out the pictures. They're posted on Instagram. And she mentioned you. She mentioned you, and I told her that I was doing the interview with you this week, and that she said she would try to coordinate her part. And if you ever get her, if you want us to come on together sometime in the future, maybe next year, let me know. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
I need to.
Yeah. Oh, you must be a fan. Are you a Dragon Ball Z fan? Both of you? Really?
Of course. Really? No, of course. I mean, like, I ask you about a saga in particular, the Garlic Jr., you mentioned the Cell saga, and you may see my face. But Jhon needs to know that because Jhon is learning English. So I let him know that, oh my God, the thing that you tell me about Laura.
Yeah.
I mean, when Akira died, the message that she sent on her TikTok went viral because she really cried. She said that, of course, that role changed her life. But Jhon needs to know that. Jhon, ella dice que Laura le habló de nosotros. Laura dijo que hará lo posible por estar en el canal y que si tú quieres que estén ambas, Stephanie puede hacer lo posible el otro año. No, me va a morir. Créame.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. God bless you. Really.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
I hope I did okay. I was trying to be clear so you could understand. Repiten, por favor.
Repetir. And I'm holding the tears, believe me.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you so much. You guys have a wonderful holiday season, and you have my email, so reach out anytime.
You need to see my
Christmas. It's the holiday season. The holiday season. Awesome. Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad.
Ciao, ciao.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.